All right. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Joe, and today I'm going to be going through some of this LA riot stuff. I think Holly's going to sit this one out. She's in the bed. Sorry about her luck. But anyway, we're going to look and dig into this LA riot stuff. It's getting quite spicy. Quite a bit of destruction starting to happen, and with the Marines and everything else going in, let's see what's up. Well, I like this guy. We'll check out what he's saying and see what he's got going on.
Building or a local building, but it's Santa Ana.
Yeah, so apparently there's been quite a bit of stuff
Maybe
going
some
on
tear gas
today.
there. I don't have a live stream of that, but I'm watching one.
And let's see what we can find, what we can dig up. See if we can't come up with the latest.
KCAL on YouTube. And it's just a couple protesters are making gestures at these officers. And they just threw some tear gas. It's a federal building in Santa Ana, I believe. It's a federal building in Santa Ana, and they just threw either some smoke bomb or tear gas or something. But it's not a huge crowd, it looks like. It's I'm looking at it on KCAL on YouTube. Some officers guarding a federal building in Santa Ana.
Yeah, sure enough. Oh my goodness, look, he's aiming at him too. He's checking out them sights. I think he might be adjusting it for him. I don't know. My goodness, look at that. It's blowing right back on him. Whoever shot that. Yeah, look, it's just a small crowd. Sitting there at that federal building. Yeah, well, you know, they deployed the Marines and everybody.
Thank you, too.
Let's mute him for a second. You know, they deployed, I think it was 700 Marines now, too. So they have 2,000 National Guard deployed to L.A. And on top of that, they deployed 700 Marines. And I don't know if you guys know a lot about military, but I mean, the National Guard or the Marine Corps, either one doesn't make good babysitters, as it were. They're not. That's not their primary mission.
And then you mentioned that sometimes the law enforcement officers will come and break them up, but you can see the.
Oh yeah, look, there is kind of.
It looks like a whole
there's quite a few of them, honestly.
Yeah, not a very organized group as we've seen in other situations, and really, you know, what we saw last night too, when the night started to get, you know.
Well, see, it's not got dark there yet.
A group of not very
this
many
will get
people
spicier as the night goes on.
But now, well, as we say that, it looks like a bunch of them are starting to kind of move forward back towards those agents. But I am surprised that I don't see Santa Ana PD here. It seemed like when we were talking to Michelle, they were holding it down a little bit better than you know, this small handful of federal agents that are here. Also not here, noticeably not here, is the National Guard. The National Guard is here. They're protecting buildings in Los Angeles. We know that they have deployed 2,000 of them, but are only using.
Look, they've only got like, I don't know if you guys can tell in the crowd,
Guards troops. So,
but they've only got like 50 cops out there right now. I guarantee you, they got that place in there just packed full of them, just waiting. That's usually the way it goes. It's more like a trap. That's the way it is. They're just waiting. They'll spring that ambush when the time's right. Oh, let's see what's going on here. Uh-oh, we muted it back here.
So you can see big police presence down the street. They're showing you that.
You know, and it's unfortunate for the people who live in L.A. But a lot of people like these people, you know, they're just trying to go about their daily lives. They're like, I have to go to work. I got to come home. You know, if you have to go about your daily life and you're stuck in the middle of this madness, holy cow. You know, I seen a woman earlier and she was like, I got my kids in the car, and they were surrounding her, just beating the shit out of her car.
Oh.
Look at this.
The Telemundo truck was vandalized in L.A.
They're proud of the Mexican flag.
I just posted a link to a video from Olya Scootercaster.
From California.
At Scootercaster NY that shows a Telemundo truck vandalized in Los Angeles.
Look at that. That's not too bad right there.
Oh, what's this?
They're just gearing up. It depends on where you're watching this at. What location you're in.
I'll post.
See, when it gets dark, that's when it really pops off over there. So they're kind of just gearing up for it.
And he's trying to bat it back
getting spicy.
to officers.
Get his ass.
Yesterday, I mean, when we saw us dealing with CHP, they
hit him
were
with it
in a soccer match with the tear gas. They just kept kicking it and balling it back and forth to each other.
You see they have their shields out.
That's a
now.
painful game they're playing.
A little bit different than the posture before.
Things definitely seem like they're getting a bit more tense down here in the way that this is doing it, and those protesters that are, becoming more willing to get a little bit closer and, taunt those federal agents a little bit more.
And that's one thing I can't stand. Why you go taunt?
I was about to say, especially those two.
Taunt
but
the
now
police there. Does that ever end well? Have that ever ended well for anyone?
You would think Santa Ana PD would.
I'm like, they're going to remember this.
Come to the scene.
Right. Well, that's what's interesting is they were here. I mean, when we were talking to Michelle earlier, they were there. So I don't know why they've chose to withdraw from the area. If that was a tactical decision, if the Fed said, "Hey, we're good."
Yeah, he's just sitting there popping them. Look at him. He's aiming them.
Why that decision happened? I'm gonna ask John to just widen out and just make sure, John, we don't see Santa Ana PD
pepper ball to the mouth.
Certainly, they're not where the most action is between.
Look, he's hiding behind that little barricade
between the federal agents. Okay, they're on the left, John. Who is that? So here's some more federal. Looks like federal vehicles coming in. That looks like it may be Santa Ana PD.
Oh, so they got another line of cops over here.
Yeah, the black uniforms.
Yeah, so you've got that's Santa Ana PD. So you've got. So the cars are more federal agents that are coming in. Those are you see the Arizona license plates. Then the police officers that are standing on foot, that is Santa Ana PD. So why is Santa Ana PD not up with the ones on the steps that are kind of taking the brunt of this? Who knows? But this may be more federal agents that are going to come deploy right out front to deal with the crowd that is obviously clashing with the federal agents.
They're letting them 20 guys out front just take the brunt of this.
So that obviously means too that the law enforcement Chief McDonald said they were bringing in sources, municipal aid from other departments. It looks like
look though. Look at how massively outnumbered they are.
Now you've got the crowd even in the parking lot starting to push back. I thought I saw somebody shoot some less than lethal rounds over there. So hopefully the feds are going to get some of the extra help that they need out there, because they're definitely outnumbered up there on those steps, and you've got Santa Ana PD holding the line back over here by what Michelle was describing as the Sally Port.
And I know we're looking at Santa Ana now, but we talk about Chief McDonald.
I'm like,
LAPD,
if you think about it, this could end horribly.
This is, and talking about kind of the normal process.
And I kind of expect it to. I don't see this ending well.
Agencies to help.
Then
they would bring out and bring in the sheriff's department.
It's going to end
the sheriff's department would then reach out to the governor.
It's going to end with somebody getting
the National Guard, but all of that has been bypassed in the case of Los Angeles, at least, where the National Guardsmen were sent in along with the Marines, and now we're seeing Santa Ana, where there are no National Guardsmen as far as we can tell.
Well, and the chief was talking about this last night, though. Even outside of Los Angeles
when you go
County, because the federal government
and you surround the police like this,
the sheriff of Orange
County,
look
at that guy. He don't even look concerned.
Or the National Guard, they are not available to them necessarily because the governor is no longer in control of them. Certainly, Orange County.
Yeah, I think the president has
federal authorities and
taken over control of the National Guard. See, look at these guys.
Somebody is
injured.
hurt?
Yeah, he's probably got shot with them rubber balls. Rubber. They look like a canister.
We don't know if
they're about those rubber things they're shooting are about this long and about that big around.
Taped on themselves. That red bag would be.
And when they hit, they're solid rubber, so they leave a great big wound.
Designated a group of people.
It doesn't penetrate the skin, but damn, it comes close.
Situation for something like this.
Volunteers. A lot of times, volunteers show up at protests, and you see it looks like milk, which is a common thing that protesters use when they have tear gas in their eyes, because sometimes water really doesn't work. So it looks like at least some of them are a little bit prepared and signaling to others officers that they can help them medically.
Look at them riding their bicycles. You come by taunting me on your bicycle.
Also taunting this police line. This is the local Santa Ana police, right?
Right. Yeah, Santa Ana police there on the left. And then you've got the feds that are still.
I'd laugh if one of them cops stuck something in one of their spokes. I'd laugh my ass off. Just reach out and stick a broom handle right when I'm spokes.
Still up on the steps, John? Yeah, they're still up there. Okay. And then you've got the. I don't see where that guy in the yellow went, so maybe he got bored and left them alone. But he was certainly taunting them.
Or took his jacket off.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, this is the height though of the protest. There wouldn't be a big deal.
This is speculation that as soon as they see some federal vehicles,
I don't think this is going to be the height of it.
Yeah.
Approaching the federal building all of a sudden, because we're wondering why is this happening all of a sudden, even if it's one or two.
I think as night falls over there, I think all hell probably break loose tonight.
That is the reason why when they see these vehicles, and now, there's only a few right now in terms of
my goodness, she's just asking for it.
Authorities on the steps there. Another question, we don't know just how these raids are being carried out, how late they can go. Can they show up at any place after dark and, make a sweep of people?
that would be a good strategy.
Right. No,
if ICE is actually wanting to take a lot of them.
If they're going to do it in the form of a warrant, there are certain
would be for ICE to let all these people gather and then sweep through the crowd and just check their IDs. I mean, shit, you would get a lot of people in that sweep.
We've seen immigration enforcement action.
I've seen a lot of these videos, and one thing that strikes me about this that seems to be different from a lot of other protests is a lot of times the protests they're college kids. That's what you would expect to be doing. This would be college age kids. A lot of these seem to be foreign nationals, of not our nation. A lot of these are Mexican citizens, Hondurans, and things like this. And I'm like, okay, well that's pretty bold. That
on Saturday,
okay, everybody wants to give somebody compassion, and you're wanting to be like, I know you want to come here and you're wanting to have a better life and stuff, but you can't expect to come here and get by with crazy shit that none of us would get by with. None of us would be getting by with coming here and attacking the police. We all have this common knowledge that if we attack the police, it's going to be an ass whooping for us. It's just a bad move. But when you're a straight up foreign national and you're attacking our police and messing up our cities, hell, you're crossing a lot of lines there.
As well, right? To make a statement, to make a show.
The police
of force
stand between us and anarchy.
Media attention to make a statement that we are conducting these raids and that you should be afraid if you're here and you're not.
Yeah, look, they're all moving
and have entered the country illegally. And then we heard Mayor Bass in Los Angeles also talk about people who are showing up at federal facilities to go through the process of getting.
Well, I mean, peacefully protesting, nobody's got a problem with it. Destruction. That's where everybody draws the line.
Being arrested and detained there in some cases. Entire families. And she said that, she was concerned that would push the people who are trying to go through the legal process into the shadows. So she mentioned that, a lot of anger in her press conference earlier. So I think that is, we have heard President Trump also talk about that and other members of the administration, that is part of
pretty good idea on them to just move on down.
And to send that message.
If you got these police forming this line, you're like, well, they've cut off this area. If they cut off the other area, then they pretty much got us. I think we might want to move down the street.
Of young people quite upset that their parents or family members were afraid to show up to graduation because they were afraid that they would be swept up. And one young lady, if I'm not mistaken, said her parents, they had applied for documentation, but they were still scared and they didn't make the graduation. So.
A lot of these news people, you listen to them, you're just like, man, that's just straight bullshit.
That you're on, how you feel about
she just pulled that whole story out of her ass. She did. She just probably made that shit up on the spot.
But,
like you're expected to believe news lady here was talking to regular old common old people who told her all this. Oh, come on, man. You made that shit up.
Determination, or maybe someone will tell us, if you have a green card, are you okay? If you have a work visa, are you okay?
What the hell? Why would you not be okay?
You haven't been reached legal status yet as a citizen, though. Are you okay?
Bro.
Right. I haven't heard any
come on.
answers to those questions. And that's what
if you're here illegally, you're not okay. If you're here legally, you're okay. It's simple as that. If you got a work visa, that shit's valid, you're golden, you're good. If you're here, you know, and you got documented papers, you're like, hey, I'm supposed to be here. It's like if we went into any other country. You know, if I went myself to Mexico and I had the proper paperwork, Mexico's going to be like, oh, that's fine. If I take my ass into Mexico without that, they're going to kick me about that the other side. Or they're going to put me in prison or shoot me or something. No other country on this earth will go for this.
There was a false rumor that ICE was outside, and it panicked people that were inside, and some people left because they were afraid that the immigration officers were outside.
And, you know, federal policy has been changing as well. Those who are,
you know, I can understand that a bunch of people are scared to death.
On the list. Those who are,
you know, I'm not without compassion to, you know, the point I understand that. Hell, sure, there's thousands and thousands and tens of thousands, 100,000, million damn people that were scared to death because, you know, so many of these people came in here over the past 4 years and the Democrats, you know, had told them, I mean, this isn't really political, but this is the truth. You know, I'm not really a political person. I'm an independent, but, you know, they had told them, you know, and given the impression that they could come in here and that everything would be okay and that this would never happen. And everybody who knows anything about our political system knows that this pendulum swings back. It always swings back. It swings both ways. So these people came here and they thought they were safe. And then, pump, you know, the people voted. And the thing about, you know, Donald Trump, whether you like him or hate him, doesn't really matter. I mean, he was openly saying he was going to do this the whole time. You know, and even more than this, you know, he was openly saying this was going to happen. So, I mean, it was kind of like a great big warning that everybody had that this was coming, you know, and the people did vote for this more than not, you know, whether you like it or not. I mean, that's what happened. You know, it isn't a, like, I'm not endorsing either side, either or. I'm just saying this is what it is. You know, it's unfortunate for a lot of these people because, you know, everybody feels for them. Everybody's like, you know, that really sucks, you know, for you, but it wasn't like something nobody seen coming, you know.
With so many cars because they didn't close the street down, right? So there were still.
I mean, you let me know what you think about in the chat.
Trying to navigate carefully their way down the street, continuing their travels, but suddenly being surrounded.
But I mean, the best way, I think, the best thing a lot of these people could do, since they find themselves in this current situation, would be to go back and come back legally, you know, just speed up the paperwork, you know, all that you can, probably hire a lawyer and then go back and come back legally. I mean, it'd be better that than get swept up in one of these raids or something. That would just be awful.
The police have stopped walking, and so
look here.
On things here because certainly there are a lot of treasured things in this area that we don't.
But see, this is the type of shit I can't stand right here.
Once the sun went down, that's really when things escalated.
I'm like,
when there really seemed to be a different element of people who lingered, and that's when some of the trouble started last night. We're certainly hoping that that does not.
Yeah, that's why we're here when the sun's about to go down, guys.
Thanks for saying that. When you said there are a lot of treasured things in that area, and there are a lot of people who may still be alive or their parents or grandparents who remember what happened to the Japanese at
oh my God, the
government rounding them up. So just wanted to mention that
the Japanese. This bitch literally just said the Japanese. The Japanese. She's pulling out some Japanese from World War II. Like, she thinks we're going to round up all the illegals and put them in a damn camp like we did the Japanese. She knows that shit ain't going to happen. They ought to take that woman and flog her. In Minecraft, of course. Not figuratively. But I'm saying, oh my God, that's just straight. These news people should have some kind of damn standards. You can't just get out here and try to scare these damn people to death. Everybody knows these people ain't going to no damn concentration camp. That's crazy.
It did look like it was starting to get a little bit smaller. We haven't seen a ton of clashes.
Look, these cops are going around the side. They're going to go around and cut them off. They're going to go this way. Then people see it, they're like, oh shit, we better pull back. These cops are trying to cut us off with two sides.
And I wanted to point out something that we saw earlier, which was when we see the crowd run, it's almost like they're doing right now.
Yep. See, look, they know the damn jig's up. Them cops. See, them cops is coming around here.
That are moving about.
They're going to try to cut them off.
So they're not necessarily running to anything, but when those officers make those movements, those officers.
And if you guys was in the Army, you realize a fire line when you see one too. Because, you know, they had them on the flank. They could hit them from this way and this way at the same time, and they wouldn't be at each other's field of fire.
And traffic just, you know, kind of moving here as
you could rubber ball or paintball the hell out of somebody to death like that.
Kind of group that is starting to spread out a little bit, and they're starting to kind of move into this area here in downtown LA at first. And I believe this next major is going to be Alameda or somewhere there close to it, maybe San Pedro Street.
You know, we had heard Chief McDonald say earlier that he was calling in, did he say 400 LAPD?
400 LAPD
officers. And when we look at these groups splinter off into smaller groups, I know that makes them less lethal, but it's also probably a good thing to have extra officers where they may sort of anticipate where they could go.
Right. And really quick, Pat,
see, and they've done got these damn people down here.
Looks like most of the crowd
they're coming
pushed away here, but Santa Ana police made significant progress in pushing this crowd forward.
I hope they beat the shit out of some of these people.
A ton of smoke. I can't tell if they actually used tear gas, but there was smoke down there as well. There was tear gas, John telling me, and I think that's what got the crowd moved out. You're still looking at downtown, Nate. I don't know if we can.
I'm like, why? Who wants to be these people?
I just want to show people that they.
Why in the hell would you be these people? These are the dumbest son of a bitches in the crowd.
Santa Ana now, pushing that crowd away from the federal building. You see that pond over there on the right, all the way back down here. Thanks, John. That is the Santa Ana Police Department that has finally given those federal agents some relief at the steps.
No, change my mind. That's the dumbest damn guy in the crowd right here. This guy right here. That's the ignorant guy. He's just standing there, just begging to be snatched up.
Smoke bombs as well that the police department was throwing as
well. Look at that. Look at all that trash. But see, you see what all that is? Those are frozen water bottles. They take these water bottles, and they did this back in 2020 for those of you who remember, and they froze them so that they became hard as bricks, and they would lob them at the police officers. And when they got hit, it was essentially like getting hit with a brick.
Now you see some more cars in the mix, but again, the crowd,
which is about the same thing.
As they pushed them away.
A chunk of ice or bricks, very small difference.
It's so important, as you mentioned earlier, when you said, can you zoom out so we can see if the police are there? And then there are police lines there too. Even when you're looking at some of these protests over the course of the last few days, if it's zoomed in, it looks sometimes bigger than it actually is. When you zoom out, it gives you a little bit more perspective. But there you can see the local, looks like Santa Ana police blocking off that street and really containing that situation.
And they're taking and they're splitting these crowds up. See, that crowd lost that many people, and them not letting them join back in.
And taking
these people will have to go a whole different route back around if they're wanting to get back and join back with the main group.
With local authorities kind of cordoning off that area.
See, they're definitely not going this way.
Where are those people dispersing to? They have scattered, as we can see from our pictures, from our chopper shots. We just wonder where they're. I don't know what we were looking at there for a moment. I thought those two might have been getting into. Did you notice that? The federal agent and the other gentleman with the black?
Bumping into each other there.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that was just a friendly
She just hoping. She hoping.
But, you know, we haven't heard about them actually.
Yeah, see, look, there's all those water bottles.
Gathering somewhere else in particular.
No.
Into one spot.
You can see the remnants of all the
that would create another problem.
pepper ball stuff doing this CS
where these demonstrations have taken place, because that's where the ICE raids, that's where they facilitate from, and possibly, but I believe Michelle said that's not where they're detaining people, so we still don't know exactly where they're being taken.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if Orange County, I know in LA County they've got the Metropolitan Detention Center, that's in downtown. I don't know if if Orange County.
Well, at least they can always jump in that pond up there.
Well, I know the city said that we are a sanctuary city. A couple of the city council people have come forward and said we will not be assisting in immigration efforts.
And
short of
Damn.
Something's happening here.
Oh, he's running.
Wow.
He's running.
Okay, there's the person in the yellow.
Kick his ass.
They
Kick his
caught up to
ass.
him.
Oh man, they really
Kick
wanted him.
his ass. He must have did some
And he's
shit.
still resisting.
Look at that.
Yep.
Well, it looks like he didn't change his sweatshirt after all.
Right.
Oh,
I
got.
wonder. I can't tell. If
He
it's
must
that
have
same
did some shit.
agent
They've been
that
waiting to
really
get his
frustrated him
ass.
earlier. It doesn't-
They'd have seized upon
Pointed a
him.
weapon
Yeah.
at him.
Yeah, and he does have looks like a mask or a beanie or something on. Yeah. Oh, it's got a full-blown mask. There you go. It's important to remember too. When you get arrested by the feds, you are not facing local charges. I mean, you're not facing disorderly conduct charges at a local level, which carry
Get
a
his
much
ass.
less severe punishment.
Kick
than
him a couple
federal
times while you got him
charges.
down there.
Mr. Huerta in Los Angeles County, he is facing the last time they charged somebody for the same thing that they're charging.
Gotta
Mr.
take his
Huerta
damn
for,
shoes off and make him walk
that couple
back.
Faced 6 years in federal prison. I mean, these are not
Now,
small
take his damn mask off.
charges when you get arrested at the federal level.
And this person was clearly, throwing
Yeah, look, Michael Myers. Boop. Got
projectiles
your
around
ass.
his faces out there for
You
everybody
ain't
to
hiding
see.
now,
But,
bro.
he was doing a lot more.
With your
And
damn
I think I can safely say
ponytail.
that.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they were hot about him.
yeah. When you mentioned David Huerta.
Yeah, he been out there starting some shits. What he been doing.
No way.
Right.
And they done got his
it's
ass
interesting,
alone.
He had the mask on. They ripped the mask off. That has been a sticking point that President Trump has been kind of harping on, that these people, protesters, legally, he says, are not allowed to wear masks, and they should be ripping the masks
Yeah.
off. And Sunday morning,
That's what they ought to do, man.
Margaret Brennan had Christine.
They need to
Noem
start
on
taking these damn
ask,
people's
how are you gonna
masks
do that?
off.
Are you going to have federal agents go rip off
Cop
masks
just
of
go,
everybody that's wearing them?
shink.
She wouldn't really answer the question, but you saw that happen in this situation. So we'll be curious, and we can try to reach out and figure out.
Yeah,
what
kick
the
him in the ass a few
charges are.
times while you walk him
And
down
as
through
far as
there.
the mask concern, we also understand.
I won't
he said
complain.
federal
I will
agents
allow
should wear
it.
them because they didn't want them being doxxed.
Right,
by the
right,
public.
Right. And let's not forget that this is not just ICE.
I'm like, the
agents. These
facts
are
that
DEA,
y'all are-
FBI, ATF, groups of
FBI.
people that do.
Fact that they are out here doxing these police officers. You have to also understand that this is not just a crowd of people. These are also funded in part by the drug cartels.
When they do that.
They don't want, this process to stop. They win big time in this
Talk about
process.
making an example.
Oh yeah.
Walking him over.
Up,
up
look
the
at him.
steps
Yep, kick him his ass.
in
Yeah,
front of everybody.
they did not forget about him.
Yeah.
Nope.
Bright yellow.
Good.
Makes it kind of hard.
What a dumbass.
Okay,
I don't want to
well,
say anything about. We
What a
the
dumbass.
reason I brought that up is how many chases have we followed where the person can go in and try to camouflage themselves? like
Deport his ass, bro.
So obviously,
Deport his ass. I don't give a damn if he's a citizen. Deport his ass.
And we've heard this
Throw
from
him somewhere.
numerous,
Throw his ass out in
officials
the
and
middle of
authorities
Kalahari or
right throughout these
something.
press conferences, like if you might be going home.
Throw him in the
tonight
middle of
after this
Savannah, let a
protest,
cheetah
talking to
eat him.
People who are vandalizing and causing violence and arson, etc. You might go home tonight, but we will find you. We have video of you, and you will be arrested at some point.
Yup.
They
Well, you
have
know
been
what?
saying that.
Oh, sorry, Rudy Bay. We just heard that Michelle Geely can talk to us now. And,
Hey, look.
and Michelle, we've seen a lot
Super
of things
Mexican.
happen since we last spoke with you. We noticed they did just
Super
take into
Mexican.
custody this guy, this protester.
I'm like,
that
you can
was
be
throwing,
happy to be a Mexican. That's fine.
projectiles at those federal officers who really
I don't think I'd be
became
spitting
pretty
at
upset
cops
with them.
or
And now he's
ice
in custody.
while wearing a Mexican flag. That doesn't make a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
looks
sense.
now like the crowd is mobilizing once again. in
Especially if
front
you're
of
wanting
the
to stay.
steps there at the Civic Center. I have been listening to some of the questions that you've had, specifically about detainees as
Look, there's
at the
these
Orange
people in the
County
cafifas.
Women's Central Jail, which
These
is
are
off
usually
in the
your
distance there.
college students
And, I have called the
and your
Sheriff's
professors. A lot of
Department
times
to
the
check on this.
professors.
At one time, I do
These are your
know
paid
that ICE
protesters, most time paid
detainees
agitators.
were held in our jail, that being the Orange County Jail, not to be mistaken with the Santa Ana City Jail.
That's
which is
a,
just across the street.
A lot of times you
from
see it in
Men's
the
Central Jail.
pro-Palestinian
The Sheriff's Department tells
riots
me
and stuff
that
too.
they are going to check for me on that
Protests.
information. They do not believe that ICE detainees are held there.
But yeah, on the Home Depot
the
sign.
sergeant is going to make 100%
A Home
certain
Depot
and
sign?
get back to me shortly on that. So, bringing us up to date on the situation here, this is a cat and mouse game, right?
Holding the signs that we are not criminals.
The protesters, the demonstrators get close. Some of them taunt the federal officers. That then prompts them to set off the less lethal smoke bombs and the pepper balls and that kind of
Bro,
thing.
did you see that truck had tires and shit in the back?
I think it was the 4 o'clock hour. Tim Kimball, my photographer, was in the crowd there, and he got
said
hit,
we are not criminals.
with one of the pepper balls. That
if you have to hold a sign that says we are not criminals, that is not a good sign. That's not a good sign. When you have to hold a damn sign up that says we are not criminals, are you really not though? Really?
So, as the sun goes down here, people are getting off work. They're showing up with their signs.
Yeah. See, it's just picking up, guys. We'll be in for a wild ride tonight.
Like I said, it ebbs and flows. They get closer to
I don't know.
that line of
Must just be the
federal
asshole in me. I kind of like it.
Some of them get too close, and then the smoke bomb
It's that
goes off,
veteran
and the
sense of
pepper
humor.
balls go off,
I like to watch somebody
and
get the shit
everyone
kicked out of them every now and then.
back in
It's
the
just like
direction where I am
medicine
through
for me or
Central
something.
Park, which is just, 500 feet from the entrance to that building. And things
I don't know.
calm down for a few minutes, and then they're back at it again.
I'm a bad person,
I
I
also
know.
checked in with Santa Ana
That's the way I like it,
Police.
though.
You've seen that their skirmish line
I'm salty
has
as
moved
shit.
quite a bit up from where they were about an hour ago. Santa Ana maintains, the police department, that they are here to
Look at these two guys right here.
for public safety, and also
I don't bode well for you,
to
old yellow
ensure
pants.
that,
Just seen what happened to your brother.
there's not vandalism or any sort of destruction. So I asked whether they might start shooting off pepper balls or the smoke bombs, and the officer who is in charge of the media there said, again, they are here for public safety and to make sure that there is not destruction or defacement of buildings and things in
the
Santa
ones,
Ana.
I'm like, you can pretty much identify the ones that could be any kind of a problem. Because, I mean, the people that are running around without a mask, they ain't got nothing. They ain't got nothing to fear. If I was going to go, I wouldn't wear a mask. You know why? Because I'm not doing anything damn crazy. I would just be like, oh, yeah, I'm here. Yay, my cause or whatever. And a lot of these people are. A lot of these people just, are there, and they're not worried about the damn face mask. They're not trying to hide who they are, looking like a bunch of damn robbers or banditos or some shit.
That we were talking about. So I'm sure Santa Ana.
Here's your damn half American, half Mexican flag. That's got to be some of the most offensive shit I've seen.
Nothing even close happens to what happened in downtown Los Angeles last night.
I'm like, reach out, grab that guy and beat him with that damn flagpole. I'm like, how are you going to attack our damn city, terrorize our damn city and the people living in our damn city's residents, flying a foreign nationality's flag, being a damn foreign national? I'm like, that pisses me off.
The Sheriff's Department, yep, that's an M80 or some sort of
M80
firecracker set off,
M80
I believe, by demonstrators. The Sheriff's Department has gotten back to me. Orange County Sheriff does not house.
Trust me, it wasn't an M80.
Anyone arrested for immigration through the federal government. So it is unclear where the people
Latinos
who we believe
hundidos,
were
she
taken into
said.
custody today around Orange County were taken. Maybe somewhere in LA County, maybe another county. We may have a facility here in this complex, just not clear on that. But we know they're not in the Santa Ana
Look,
City
there's
Jail,
some
and we
orange
know
hair.
that they are not in the Orange
Tells you
County
about everything you
Sheriff's
need to know.
Department Men's Central Jail or the Women's Jail.
You wonder if even family members know where they've been taken, Michelle. And I say that because a lot of people still, at this day, from what we've heard, family members that were taken into detention on Friday, Saturday.
They're lining up.
They have been denied access to family members, so they
Boy,
don't necessarily know.
That'll let some of us veterans run loose in there.
Held at the Metro Detention Center in Los Angeles, but
Strike that shit out
they're
quick.
not even 100% certain.
I mean, I think the fact that Michelle has been reporting and asking authorities, and they don't even know, I think that says volumes about this entire situation, and not knowing where people are being held, where they're being transported in many cases.
I mean, and some of them just look like regular people, like these two chicks right here. They need to get the fuck out of there, go home. Get out of here, go home.
No, and even some of the people in charge of these institutions and law enforcement agencies don't know.
And Santa Ana is a sanctuary city, so you would possibly...
She must have been where all that stupid shit was coming from a minute ago.
This has taken on a very, very different tone with the administration being involved and federal agents here
Yeah, who would have guessed?
So there is very little information that's being dispersed at this time.
And another 2,000 National Guards men and women on their way to Los Angeles.
I'm pretty sure they've already arrived. Oh, damn.
And 700
oh, shit.
Marines also being deployed.
So they've sent.
Not that we're talking about.
They've sent 4,000 National Guard now. They doubled the 2,000 National Guard. And sent 700 Marines.
Join in with the National Guard, and that they will continue to support the federal mission. And we don't really know what that might be. I mean, is that continuing to guard the federal buildings? Are they going to go out with federal immigration
this could
officers
get
as they conduct
spicy,
operations, immigration operations? We don't know.
I'm like, we don't know.
Join in and they
what
say, quote,
what could happen. I mean, they
the California National Guard and be under that same command of that 2-star general that is commanding the California National Guard right now. But
let's see what's going on over here. Wonder what this is.
I have 2 feeds of the same thing.
It just looks like people standing around. Let's turn that down a little bit. Nobody's trying to lose a damn eardrum.
I think it's the same, or is that different? Is it the same, or is that a different area? Is that the same street, or is that a different street? I don't even know now. What's this one?
Getty. They just stand there waiting on it, I guess. We just stand there for we wait now. Uh-oh, more cops are coming. It's time to go. Might be time to leave.
That might be a different street.
Uh-oh. Yep, it's time to leave. That's what they thought too. Might be time to go.
That's a different street. Okay.
Man, they've been getting the reporters and everybody. I seen them shoot the hell out of a reporter earlier too with one of them giant rubber balls or rubber cylinder deals they've been shooting. The cameraman's like, I'm getting the hell out of here. Yeah, see, look, the sun's starting to go down. All right, let's kill that one. Let's go back over here and see what this craziness is going on.
Doesn't mean it didn't happen, but we haven't heard that. We don't have any.
Oh, they're moving again.
Saturday, the FBI did put out a flyer.
I think it's more like wherever they wind up at.
We didn't hear about that.
They end up pretty much just tearing up that place, and they kind of like leave a trail of destruction to everywhere they've been.
I'm just picking up on what you said about being able to go out with the agents and for protection.
Or at least crowd control. I mean, that was what we saw on Friday was those agents went out there and they were clearly unable to control the crowd around them and still conduct their operation. And it got to a point where they, kind of got bottlenecked a little bit in there. And then
they got a good line going on here.
That was where the big criticism of, LAPD, which there's disagreements on how long it took LAPD to get there. And then, Pat, what we ended up seeing Friday night at 11:30 in downtown was that really large
police moving
of federal law enforcement agents with Bearcats.
Damn, she's got a baseball bat.
Armed, they were in helmets. I mean, they really showed up to get those guys out of there.
And you know what? We actually
bullshit on the baseball bat
behind them, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Which is
yeah. I mean, remember LAPD showed up for a minute and then just decided like, this is going to be on you guys, because it ended up being in that parking lot where all those federal agents
okay, so they went and they blocked off this right here.
Protesters figured out that they were staging there, began to protest them, and then we spoke with Representative Jimmy Gomez, who was trying to get those agents to just leave, and ultimately
so they're trying to stop them from actually forming like a big mob and crowd. That's what they're actually trying to do.
Out the back behind them, and that's where we left it. But that was the only since Friday. And to my knowledge, that was the only time we saw federal law enforcement engage in crowd control operations.
And maybe LAPD was behind them just in case anything happened to the federal agents?
Right, potentially. And on the right side of your screen,
oh yeah, I recognize that.
I think that's probably another pepper spray or tear gas, cleaning going on there. You can see pouring water in his eyes.
It's a good thing them people do.
Okay,
There's a lot of people that go out in amongst these, and all they do is just tend to the wounded and stuff.
On the ground, witnessing and bringing live pictures as to what is actually happening. Because if you hear different reports, and if you hear it summarized by, let's say, Washington D.C. versus the city of L.A., it's two very different stories, right? So we have a team of reporters who have been covering this from the very beginning, in the middle.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. These are the same people that always, will I say, World War III, World War III. I'm like, look at these people, man. You think these damn people would last 5 minutes in World War III? They'd be the first damn ones out. Look at them just laying down.
National Guard, as the state is filing a lawsuit to get them out. And here's KCAL's Leslie Marine. Hey, Leslie.
Yeah, that's when you know your government's corrupt.
We've been talking about it, right? Moments ago, the governor posted on social media that he is being informed that the president will be deploying another 2,000 National Guard troops on top of the nearly 300 that are already here. We know over the weekend he wanted 2,000 here, but the governor says that right now it's about 300. Now, the Pentagon has also confirmed that. The governor claims most of the troops that are here in Los Angeles are sitting unused in federal buildings and called the move reckless and pointless. Now, the U.S. Northern Command has confirmed that those 700 Marines from 29 Palms will land in Los Angeles in the next 24 hours. And we spoke about this. Their job will be to help the National Guard protect federal personnel and federal property. This all coming as the governor is now suing the Trump administration for deploying the National Guard without his consent. The state is asking a judge to not only declare the
think about this. Put this in perspective. So you got all these people looting, rioting in your biggest city, terrorizing the citizens, the taxpayers of your state. And the people are, for the most part, I would say probably about 50-50. Legal, not legal. And then Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, is going to sue the Trump administration for bringing peace or trying to stop the riots in his own state and trying to stop them from tearing up one of the biggest, most beautiful places in California. I mean, it literally baffles the mind.
And most importantly, unlawful order.
So Gavin Newsom wants this. What else could you say?
To the president's border czar, Tom Homan.
I'm like, they want this destruction. They want this happening.
Arrest for immigration interference, but today he said there is no intention to do that. Meanwhile, Governor Newsom has addressed the statement, saying that would be a line that cannot be crossed.
Damn, that backfired.
Ruta Bay, Pat, for now, we'll send it back to you. A lot of developments still coming out from the governor's office. And
well, see, course, and that's the difference between the Marine Corps and the difference between the Marine Corps and the National Guard is the National Guard are under the control usually of the governor of that state unless they're federalized. The Marine Corps, they're not under the governor of that state. They're federal to begin with. So I guess they're the backup. But look at these damn people. Look how stupid.
Or we're going to lay, we're not going to move, take us into custody
if
you so choose.
Problem solved.
What is happening, or
take them into custody.
Happening there in Santa Ana, where you have this group.
Great.
I think
easier to deal with.
The rest of that guy in the yellow sweatshirt, they've thrown so much tear gas at it. The rest of the people that are here, and I don't want to say everybody because I haven't seen everybody.
I'm like, shit, problem solved.
A more peaceful kind of civil group. Santa Ana PD, I haven't seen in the last couple of minutes shoot any, tear gas, pepper balls, smoke, anything like that. So you've got this group, and it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
I'm like,
7,
what are they going to do? What are you going to accomplish by laying down? How does this help at all?
Signaling that there is, they're ready to be arrested.
Okay.
Thanks for that. I guess a different story.
The problem is, have they done anything?
And Lori, we understand that it's getting.
I'm like, you're laying on the ground, but have you done anything to be arrested for?
It is loud, definitely, but we are at yet another kind of stopping point. The police have pushed the protesters further down South Alameda Street towards the Arts District, if you can picture that in your head. And we've kind of just been stopped here for about 15, 20 minutes with the force of law enforcement facing off with the protesters. You can see them just kind of opposite of each other right here in the street. Lots of yelling going on, of course, lots of emotions pretty high, but so far no action, no actual physical confrontations that we have seen. You know, it's hard to know what the
hey guys, what is that blue and white flag? If you know, throw it in the comments. Is that like Honduras or something?
Frankly, when they brought them through Little Tokyo, which is kind of a bustling business district, and now we're on kind of a more residential street where they've been kind of stopped for a few minutes now. So hopefully this crowd seems to be kind of thinning out, and the force of police seems to be swelling. So. We're watching that.
Go get him. Go get him.
I don't know what precipitated that running. There was no tear gas, which we usually see before they start to run. But
super bicycle
happened right there that made that crowd start running. I do see them on the left-hand side. They did take a young man into custody, or they detained him rather, put him in handcuffs. You hear the bang. I don't know what's going on that's kind of precipitating this activity, this increase in activity here. But now we're on the move once again. So we're moving. Again, this is South Alameda. We are heading towards the Arts District. A crowd.
Yeah, they're corralling them.
Maybe 100
like
or so
people would do sheep.
To see. You guys probably have a better vantage point from SkyCal,
but that hurt.
Now, see, this is where it's going to get ugly again, because now they're throwing glass bottles, now they're throwing rocks again at the police, water bottles, etc.
Yeah, what we see.
Look at the lady hiding like hell.
Crowd, a lot of them running, and we see officers. Yeah, we see a projectile.
Oh shit!
We see officers approaching quickly.
That was a big ass firework.
Moving them back. To where we don't know, right? But that's what we noticed.
Yeah, it's just interesting, you know. I mean, we don't, of course, know the police strategy, but
you know, I would imagine a lot of these cops come out of this with PTSD, because this is almost like a damn war zone.
Except for a lot of yelling, and then all of a sudden, we saw the police kind of mobilize. We saw the crowd start to run. So, you know, we see this from time to time, and you can already see now it's kind of de-escalated, and well, you know, we've moved just not that far down the street, and once again they've stopped. So this is kind of a repeat of what we saw yesterday evening, yesterday afternoon, with these crowds as they kind of splintered off, and police had to kind of address the crowds in different.
I wonder if that's her right there.
You know what, Laura? You were on the scene when during the BLM protests. So can you? You know, just now, what?
Yeah, they're trying to gear up for another great summer of love, guys.
About is it organized? Are there people that are on megaphones?
Mostly peaceful, mostly peaceful but fiery protest.
Or reminding them of why they're there. Can you point that out, or maybe make the contrast?
Yeah, I mean that's an excellent question. I think during the BLM protests, first of all, they were much larger, consistently larger for the days that we were covering them. And they did seem to be more on point. There were lots of organizers.
See, you know, they've tried pretty hard, even in this one, to get more people to join in on this. And more people just aren't really interested in joining in on this. We're like, no, probably not. Probably not.
We have not seen that as much here today, at least. Yesterday, we did see a little bit of that, but not as much. Here, we have seen also,
but it ain't dark yet either.
More destruction, much more profanity written on the streets and on the buildings and the walls. So it's a kind of a different tone, I would say, to this protest than the BLM protests. But again, I think I was mentioning earlier, even today from yesterday the demographic was
look, somebody brought their damn dog. They brought their damn dog.
Young and old, and even families.
That poor old dog. You know that dog has to be absolutely scared to death. Hell, bring that dog in that damn protest.
20s kind of crowd.
Look at him. He's like, let's go.
That in and of itself sometimes, depending on the group of people, that creates a different atmosphere in that group of people. And that's what we've seen here today.
All right, I'm glad you sort of...
I have no idea what that means, but I have a feeling it's not something nice.
I just remembered top of mind what happened during those protests, and I know you were there, so I figured you can sort of, walk us through what's happening. And maybe it kind of makes you wonder if it's not, maybe it's social media that has really driven people to the
There's a lot of damn people on bicycles.
But you set it up for us that there doesn't appear to be really a lot of organization.
My goodness.
Or particular leaders.
What the hell is that?
So to speak.
And I will say in both those protests and in these protests last night, at the end of the night, towards the end, you always seem to get kind of the agitators, right? The troublemakers who are not necessarily...
That's the ones I'm waiting on.
Connected to the cause that brought the people out, but who are just trying to take advantage of a chaotic situation. We saw that in BLM, and we saw that last night as well with some of the unrest that happened, some of the tagging.
We call them teenagers.
Those were not people who I would consider necessarily connected to the cause that brought out
teenagers and hobos
over the weekend. They're just hangers-on who are trying to stir things up and use it to their advantage.
Lori, does it feel like the crowds have kind of come together?
Looking at different that's probably LA, the biggest victim in all this. The damn hobos. They're like, man, I can't even lay down and go to sleep underneath my bridge tonight. You guys are running me out of all my areas, getting the police all stirred up, get tear gassed 10 times today. The damn hobos, they have to be outside of the real victims. Oh, shit.
We're way on the outskirts now from where we were.
Damn, he just jumped over that fence.
Way further north, towards the 101. This is
just the way he jumped over that fence.
This way and towards the Arts District.
He jumped that wall like it wasn't nobody's business. Add 3 feet.
I mean, it's difficult for me to know.
I didn't keep nobody out.
I'm just with this crowd, but we have not seen them growing in number.
I'm like, no shit. He could have walked around through here like, I would, you would, normal people. Hell no, he just went straight over the wall. Thing's like 10 feet high.
As they move further down towards the Arts District.
All right, our Lori Perez joining us live from downtown LA, where those protests have now continued for a 4th day. We want to say good evening to everyone and welcome you to an early edition of KCAL News at 8 alongside Juan Fernandez and Mike Rogers at the desk. Good evening.
Yeah, so it's just now 7:30 in California right there. So you got like 2 more hours before it really gets dark there.
Not only in downtown LA, but also in Santa Ana, where protests have also gotten very heated as well.
For an hour.
After immigration raids, we believe over the weekend as well and today. And Mayor Karen Bass with the city of Los Angeles saying today that she believes that there have been 5 at least known raids that have taken place.
5.
And because of that, there have been a lot of passions and
anger. There's like 1 million illegal aliens in LA.
As to where their loved ones might be, and a lot of people who are concerned about that.
And this has been going on again, as Susie was saying, since Friday when those first raids played out at a Home Depot, at a donut shop, and of course, at that fashion house in downtown Los Angeles, where the bulk of the protests started on.
There has been 5 raids. They might have swooped up, I think, a total of 40 people. And she's talking about people don't know where their loved ones are. There's 1 million illegal aliens in LA. I'm pretty sure 40 people, ain't a big number.
Live there on the ground to tell us more now, Michelle.
We've just been hit with smoke from the pepper spray. So let me go back
to this, I say.
And we'll come back and we can catch our breath.
All right, Michelle, you do that. You take care of yourself and your photographer. Of course, situations we've seen over the weekend.
Yes. Hit the reporter again.
And photographers being in the line of fire when it comes to some of these pepper balls and also the tear gas canisters.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah,
that's for the dumb shit your anchors were talking.
Michelle's photographer has already been hit by tear gas a couple times tonight. He actually got a pepper ball to his torso, when all of that was happening. And I do want to update the situation in Santa Ana because that has been kind of evolving, and you can see they are still using tear gas. They pushed those people away from the federal steps.
Oh my God, guys, spit it out.
Now they're pushing them actually towards the federal building. So we're continuing to monitor that situation. Sky Cal's going to head back downtown. I also want you to know that there's now starting to be, as we look live now, this is again in Santa Ana here, as Michelle and her photographer Tim Kimball doing a great job and obviously pushing away far enough away
video
from
looks
where the
like
law
shit.
enforcement line is, and you can see just behind that flag, that Mexican flag, you can make out the patrol car there on the right-hand side. You can see that line of police officers that is there trying to quell that crowd and push them back. Now, it looks like there is a mix of federal officers as well as local Santa Ana.
You know, I always said, you know what would work great?
Dealing with the situation we've been dealing with
phalanx.
Is
That'd be the perfect.
Law enforcement was far out.
Spears and shields, man. Spears and shields. Time for some Spartan shit up in here.
Situation with a protester was wearing a mask and was wearing a yellow sweatshirt that was throwing things.
I know. I loved it. It was delicious.
Agents, rather, one of those agents with a lethal, munition, a lethal weapon, a rifle, was actually pointing it at that protester.
Oh my God, no!
Waving his hand towards him, and you see what we're looking at right now.
Oh no!
Pouring water on their
the
eyes.
cop pointed a lethal weapon at a guy that was throwing bricks at him.
This is not a fun situation at all.
How dare that cop point that gun at that guy that was throwing bricks at him? Bullshit! That's what it would sound like if it had been my ass and he'd have threw a brick at me. Hell, I'd have popped him off a couple of these.
So these people are still.
That's what you get throwing damn bricks at somebody with common sense. A damn brick would kill somebody. Hell, Cain killed Abel with a brick.
Certainly been people that have been kind of giving it to the federal agents there and going back.
A rock.
With them. We saw that tackle of one of the federal
You
agents.
can kill somebody with a rock.
Took that person down into custody, ripped the mask off his face, but they're still launching tear gas and pepper balls and all of those things at these protesters. Michelle got caught up in it. You see other people here getting caught up in it as well that are dealing with all of this situation as Michelle and Tim Kimball try to walk back. And we apologize for the people that are less than happy to see our cameras there as the situation
apologizing.
is heated. And there's a lot going on down there.
He's apologizing.
This camera that we're looking at right now, Mike.
He's apologizing to the protesters, the rioters.
Things kind of get heated in downtown. Things calm down.
We apologize to the people who don't want to see our cameras down there. That's what this guy just said. What a jackass.
What's happening in Santa Ana, the reason we believe that it popped off in Santa Ana today is because there were raids in Santa Ana. Michelle had told us there was one at a Carl's
What
Jr.,
a
one at
wuss.
Home Depot, and that's how this all started on Friday when we had the raids in LA County.
That's right.
And there's Michelle. I don't know if she can hear us or if she's ready yet.
Michelle, are you okay?
Yes, sorry. Yes. That's a first for me. I apologize. I thought that I could run faster than the smoke, and that didn't happen, obviously. But two people here were so
Nah,
just
you can outrun smoke. Go for it.
And we're good. Everybody seems
Outrun the wind.
Here, but okay, they're pouring milk in a woman's eyes here. That was powerful and strong and
you know what I heard works good?
Honestly, although it
piss in her eye. I think that'll get it out even better. Just piss right in her eyeball.
There were some officers taking people into custody, and we were trying to kind of get a view of that. And then
oh my God! Look at her eyes, man. She is messed up.
Because we've kind of tried to keep ourselves farther back so we can.
Let's make sure we're on. Yeah, we got on maximum.
But they were throwing these projectiles, this less than lethal stuff, very, very deep into the crowd. So really, not many people could escape it. Tim got hit again. Okay, here we go.
Uh-oh.
We're gonna move.
Oh, get him!
Okay.
Get him,
We're
cops!
gonna move back so we don't get hit again. Because like I said, they're throwing very deep into the crowd, obviously trying to push everybody out of this area. Just to put it in perspective, people are running toward Ross Street.
Uh-oh, look, there's some green hair, red hair.
And Ross Street,
I'm like, girl, go home.
Very, very
go home.
Federal courthouse, the Reagan building. So the tactic must be to get people away from that one federal building.
These people have done went too far, you know. These cops are uber pissed. They've been standing out here cussing these cops out to their face for days. Just right in their face, just cussing them out like a dog. Throwing bricks at them, throwing Molotovs at them. I saw one yesterday. He was taking a mini sledgehammer and he was breaking up pieces of the sidewalk, like over a drain. And he was taking them big chunks of concrete that he was doing from breaking that up, and he was hurling it at the police. And I'm like, how long do you think these police are going to sit there and take that? You know, should they just have to sit there and take that? Is that what we expect them to do? You know, or do they just sit there and take infinite abuse? You know, they are people. They're not robots. I mean, you're not just going to sit there and beat somebody with concrete and Molotovs and stuff indefinitely and expect them not to do anything about it. I mean, that's crazy.
Crowd, you can see where some of those orange barriers are. And
a lot of these cops are going to remember this. This is how you get pissed off and bad cops a lot of times.
And where these people are running.
All right, we have another reporter on the ground. Let's go to our Tom Waite now, who joins us live. Tom, where are you?
And Susie, we're just about a half a block away from LAPD headquarters. You can see it there just up the block. There's a gathering of officers just out in front. This is First Street in Los Angeles. Still,
sorry, folks. I know you hear my dog howling.
Kind of walking around. A lot of air support. We're not too far from Lori Perez. She's a few blocks down the street from us, kind of in an area, I think, where there's a higher concentration of people. There's still a lot of volatility here.
That's where we want to go, guys.
This is kind of the area where a lot of some of the skirmishes between police and the crowd played out just a short time ago. I
see what's going on down here. Look at that. That's a pretty bad looking gun he's got there. That's pretty mean looking shit. That's a hell of a pepper ball gun. Oh, I bet it's got one of them. Oh yeah, look, it does. It's got like a police version, like an M203 on the bottom, that grenade launcher that shoots those big giant rubber rounds. I'd say that is an M203.
Hey, thanks so much, MG Monkey, for your support. I really appreciate it, MG Monkey. Also, Just Mike, Brian T. Garden.
Let's turn that down a little
MAGA
bit.
since 1492. Paul Castellani.
Yeah, we'll flip through the best channels here. See if we can find the
What's
action.
happening now? Something happening?
Yeah, look, they're gearing up. SRT, Special Response Team.
Alex Price, Ty Crom, Slowbird.
It's like, if I'm not mistaken, that's like the
ZMCG.
Sheriff's Department's version of a SWAT team, SRT.
Boomer Wow, Grammy Sammy.
But see, look, it's just young cops, man. They just young people. Via Mexico. Really? Do you hear?
Alianas, Seth the Welsh, Pops One, Christina Rupp. Thank you.
Talking about some Via Mexico. What that woman was straight up shouting? Shoot her in the teeth with a damn rubber round. I want to see it.
Daredevil 2300.
Viva that shit. Viva her teeth. Free her teeth from her mouth.
On Twitch and Lag Kills on Twitch. Thank you.
My gosh, sounded like somebody screamed. Uh-oh. Look at them, they setting up their camera on a tripod. You know, that'd be mighty inconvenient. You said, oh, shut up, and then they come pushing through. What is this right here? What do they got going on here, guys? Pickup truck with cages? The hell, they're just sitting there. Let's go back to the other one and see what's going on here.
And now you kind of see them push down the block there.
We want the most recent. Go straight to the lab.
Correct me on that.
No problem, Tom. Of course.
But yeah, that is the area where you're seeing people in concentration. I think the police kind of in a more macro way.
They've got they've done strength in the middle of their line for some reason here.
Spot. They, you know, when they form those skirmish lines, they kind of collapse, and it kind of disperses the crowd. It seems like that's what they're doing.
Look what they got going on here.
Larger scale, and
what's up with that? Why they got ranks like that?
Shock and awe kind of thing. It scares people. They run, they scatter, and that's kind of what we've been seeing playing out in the last couple hours here.
Yeah, so, all of us wondering what nightfall will bring. And, of course, we've watched these protests over the last couple
That's what I'm wondering, too.
Turn into some violence. And, we have to say that the majority of these protests, though, have been peaceful. The people who have participated in
there they are, peaceful.
Protests have been peaceful.
Fiery but peaceful.
As Mayor Karen Bass was pointing out today, there are those individuals who
spitting on the cops there. That's peaceful. She looked real peaceful.
Not even be involved with what is happening here and the real issue at hand. And that's what incites a lot of this violence.
Yeah, in fact, Susie, LAPD Chief Jim McDonald said that there are regular agitators who show up at these demonstrations. They cause trouble, so they're aware that this is going to happen, right, Mike? They know that there's the people who are out there protesting peacefully, as we've seen, and then these folks that kind of like mix in with the crowd, and maybe the first ones to throw a bottle or to throw out a firework, and then suddenly everything changes very quickly.
And then it's not peaceful, I guess.
I think the crowd that we're seeing, at least in downtown
so
LA,
peaceful.
was a little bit different.
So
but
peaceful.
At least in downtown LA, this is the type of activity that the mayor and the governor and all of those people have been saying. This is what it should be. Express your First Amendment right. Be here, protest, do what you want. Don't get violent.
Yeah, but I'm like, if you're not a U.S. citizen, do you really have First Amendment right? I'm not so sure about that.
I think John told me Aliso, where this is happening. Second and Alameda, thank you, John. Where this crowd is gathering, and you have the large contingency of law enforcement, like Tom mentioned, but they're not really doing anything, right? Last night by this time we had already had 5 Waymos set on fire. We had trash cans on fire. We had
I thought it was
hot
peaceful.
mess of everything going on.
Freeway shut down.
The freeway shut down. CHP cars destroyed and set on fire. Such literally night and day from yesterday to today. And this is what everyone has been calling for. This is what the elected leaders have been asking for. And is this calm protesting. And I want to be clear, LAPD has not even declared an unlawful assembly. That's not the case. Has not been the case yet. And
yeah, but I don't know if they will actually.
3:15 in the afternoon. And tonight they are putting out on Twitter, they are aware of the crowd. They are moving the crowd. They are
look at them bunched up in that ball.
Advisories.
Okay, that's cool. Get out there, do your little dance. That's fun.
They have said some arrests have been made, but you're not seeing this, attempt to do any kind of mass detentions, mass arrests. All of this thing is.
I'm like, nobody gives a shit. You can get out there and dance till your feet fall off.
Here at Second and Alameda.
Mike, you were saying though earlier today that LAPD and law enforcement out there, they're in a much better position than they were yesterday, right?
By far. By far for 2 reasons. A, they have a lot more people. And B, there are a lot less protesters. Yesterday afternoon when I went to work, there was
these guys are just fucked.
Say 1,000 protesters down there.
Well, maybe not them. I think they're there on purpose.
So large, they were in so many different areas.
The guy's like, damn, I'm just trying to get home.
Get enough people in one area to deal with these groups, and so you had kind of these like factions of LAPD that were in different areas trying to deal with the crowd, but it was almost impossible for them to do because the crowd was so large and they were in so many different areas. But today, LAPD was much more strategic about it. They never let them get into Chinatown. They blocked that access off really quickly to keep them away.
That bus
from
is
the
interesting.
Freeway, so they didn't have the issues with getting on the freeway, then the issues with throwing things at CHP and all of that situation. So they were very strategic about where they've been pushing the crowd today. And because of that, every time, and we've talked about this, every time they get to an intersection, the crowd starts to split just a little bit. On the left side of your screen is live pictures from SkyCal where it looks like a couple of those arrests are being affected right now. You can see 2 of those people.
Not really.
In handcuffs, 2 or 3 appear to be in handcuffs and sitting on the wall there.
Don't look like much of anything.
Some more sitting on the ground there. Well, they're not in handcuffs though.
No, they're just sitting
they've
there.
been arrested for failure to disperse. If they threw something, all of that will be sorted out by either the DA's office or the city attorney. But in large part, such a different scene than we saw last night.
Sure. Poop it on the sidewalk. It is LA.
LAPD does have Chief McDonald also declaring that citywide tactical alert as well, Mike.
Yeah, citywide tactical alert, which means nobody goes home. The chief spoke in his press conference earlier about how they were able to
I never end a day.
400 additional officers into the downtown area to be there. Part of that, and we've talked about this so much with the conversation regarding the National Guard and federalizing the National Guard. The way it works at a local level, you have LAPD. If LAPD needs help,
look at them here dancing in a circle.
The sheriff augmented them with 100 extra LA County Sheriff's deputies.
Come on,
sheriff,
man.
For Los Angeles County as a whole is essentially the emergency coordinator. So then the sheriff will make it the decision himself. We need additional
I actually like that.
to support LAPD,
I like that.
not
That's
even to support his own
funny.
agency, but to support LAPD. So it goes, LAPD makes the request to the sheriff makes the request to outside agencies, which happened last night.
But you could see that they've not blocked off these areas. You see that there's cars still coming and going. So they're giving these people a chance to leave.
Then that is when the sheriff
You know, but what they're also allowing is more people to come in, which is what's going to end up happening is more people's going to come in. Oh, hell.
That's not an option for us right now because they've been taken over by the federal government and they are being used.
The lines are moving again, folks.
Federal buildings, as Mayor Bass pointed out, 2 buildings, one in Westwood and one in downtown LA. And that has been kind of the thing here. And we talked about this a little bit earlier in our coverage. President Trump, tried to take credit for things not being worse in LA, saying if the National Guard weren't there, then, X, Y, and Z.
Well, I mean, that is probably true.
3.5 hours last night. The National Guard did not step foot off the federal building.
Right. And he's sending more.
And Mayor Bass said,
I think that's just in case.
You already have National Guard standing at the federal buildings. Are you going to have more troops come in and stand next to them at the federal buildings? They've not been involved at all in any kind of crowd dispersal measure.
Well, they said there were only 300 of them there so far actually there. So I think, if
immigration raids coming,
yeah, exactly.
Will they use those troops to support those immigration raids to provide?
Yeah, exactly. See, that's what you would expect. You would expect, when all the when all the National Guard, and you're poking a huge bear. The people doing this crap are because, let's say you piss Trump off completely, and he declares martial law on that city and just locks it down. I mean, I'm pretty sure he can do that. I mean, he can pretty much do it at whim. And all he's got to do is deploy he could drop the 101st in there, anybody, 82nd. They could sweep door to door. I mean, it's not like we don't know he's, he's not the kind of guy that forgets shit, as to say, or that takes insults lightly. So all this is really poking at him. And it's probably not a good idea, honestly.
That was a message that was relayed yesterday by either the chief, I think it was by Chief Jim McDonnell. So there is no cooperation, there is no coordination with that because there can't be under state law.
Well, and the governor and the mayor both said we have it handled.
Which is madness. How can you not cooperate?
Sorry, just really quickly want to point out, we are starting to see a social media video of the Marines that have left 29 Palms. We've got a couple sources out there who live in Desert Hot Springs and other areas that have said they've seen the buses start to leave. They've seen the Humvees start to leave. I've got a crew posted up on the 10 freeway so we can see them when they come in. But from what we can tell, they have left 29 Palms.
Within 2 hours or so, we maybe see them in the area.
Yep.
All right.
Well,
as we've been talking about protests
2 hours.
in Santa Ana and in downtown LA tonight. Reporter Lori Perez there on the ground joining us live now to tell us about the latest. Lori, what are you seeing?
Yeah, we are at the corner of Alameda and 2nd. I think you guys were talking about this area just a little while ago. We're right in front of the City Brewery, a very popular.
Let's see what the other guys got going on, guys.
Maybe we'll check out AXN News and him.
What's going on? All right. Don't look like much is going on. We'll check back in here in a couple hours. If anything bad pops off, I'll be back. Till then, guys, make sure you check out this guy right here, Agenda Free TV. If you want actual news without any kind of bias and you want to know what's going on, this is the best way of getting it so far. He's got a great channel. Make sure you check him out too. And I'll be back on here after a while if something pops off, guys. Till next time.